Matt Streb is on the line with us right now. Matt, good morning to you.
Hey, Riley, what's going on?
How you doing this morning, Matt?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I have nothing really to complain about.
That's great. That's great. Well, I'm doing okay now. I'm not looking forward to the end of the day when I have to sit through another 90 minutes of a debate. I'm doing great. So.
Yeah, it really, I was thinking about that earlier today. There's times in our lives that we have something that is scheduled for later on in the day that we're really not looking forward to, and in really no hurry to see the clock advance forward.
Yeah.
We all have those things, whether it's, a parent-teacher, a meeting with your accountant, you've got whatever it is. I'm looking at the debate like that, Matt.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I have to do it for, I guess it's a professional obligation.
Me too.
And I will say that, looking at the clip that they came in on there, a lot of things have happened in the last couple of weeks, but none of them have gone in favor of Donald Trump. So it's been a very rough, just bizarre election season.
It really has, for a variety of reasons. Let's look ahead to tonight for just to put a thumbnail on this. As the guy who's the expert in this sort of thing, what is it in the back of your mind you're expecting tonight? Although, what might go down?
Well, I think you're going to see more of the same. Trump has shown no willingness to pivot and to try to, if anything, he's gotten worse now. Now he's going out and claiming that the election is rigged, which is, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, it's reckless, frankly, to be honest with you, and it's dangerous for democracy. So I just see him doubling down. And if I'm Hillary Clinton, great, double down, because guess what? My poll numbers keep going up, and I'm not doing anything. And the reason my poll numbers are going up is because you are, every play in the book has been the wrong play so far. And so, if you want to complain about a rigged election, that's not going to get you back into the, up in the polls. If you want to complain about, if you want to go after the women who have accused you again, that's not going to help you go up in the, there's all sorts of things that he keeps doing. If you want to go after your own party, by all means, let's set a 15-minute segment where we can both attack the Republican Party. How's that sound, Donald?
Yeah, there's nothing Hillary would like more than that.
It's just unbelievable. I was thinking the other day, I thought, okay, if I could sit there and say, I'm going to run a campaign, and I want to try to have my opponent do the dumbest possible things that you could think of, right? I'm not even sure I could have made this stuff up. It just is amazing. Every step of the way has been a misstep for the Trump campaign, and he's got to get focused. I think he will go after Clinton a little bit more on things like emails. Again, obviously, there's been the WikiLeaks stuff, and I've said this for months now. Every moment that he's not focused on her is a win for her, and you're seeing that happen in the polls right now, where she's the polls seem to be pulling well in her direction. And I'll tell you where we're also seeing it, and Republicans should really be concerned about this, and I know they have been, and this is part of the reason why Ryan is kind of trying to distance himself from Trump, is that you're now starting to see it down ballot too. About 2 weeks ago, if you look at Nate Silver and some of these other people that do the election predictions, they had about a flip of the coin that the Democrats would pick up control of the Senate. Right now, it's over 75% of a probability that they're going to pick up control of the Senate. And you look at places like Nevada and even places like Missouri and North Carolina that really weren't that close and were trending Republican are now potentially leaning Democratic. And what happens with the Republican Party going forward is again, we got a couple weeks to go here. I'm not coronating Hillary Clinton president yet, but unless Trump changes something dramatically, and I'm not sure that he's going to be able to do that, the Republican Party is going to have to really take a long, hard look at themselves and figure out what do they do starting on November 9th.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I've read different people taking a shot at that, and boy, like so many people, like 6 eyewitnesses, you have 6 people who have 6 entirely different ideas on what to do moving forward.
Yeah, we've talked about this many, many times. I go out when I talk in public, and I remember, I would go on the air, with different people, or I talk to the media in 2008, for instance, and they were like, "Is this the death of the Republican Party?" And I was like, "No, it's not the death of the Republican Party." And you look in 2010, the Republican Party had an enormous year, right? And then in 2012, I get the same question the day after. Is this the death of the Republican Party? No. In 2014, they pick up an enormous number number of seats. I really don't think this is the death of the Republican Party even here, depending on what the outcome of the election is. But they're going to have to eventually change. And one of the things that I think is true, and why people have been asking about that, is that they're becoming increasingly more the party of white males, and that is not going to win elections long term in the country. If you look at the changing demographics of the country, that's not the strategy to go if you want to remain a viable party. And there's really, there's obviously splits on the Democratic side too. You saw that with Sanders and Clinton, and we've talked about this before. Even locally with Chuy Garcia and Rahm Emanuel, there's always splits in parties. We only have two of them, right? Of course, there are going to be splits, but there really is an enormous split right now. I think between moderates, between Trump supporters, between people who are truly conservative, but share a very different worldview of foreign policy than Donald Trump does. There's a variety of different factions of the Republican Party right now, and it will be interesting to see what the party tries to do going forward.
And maybe they could take a page out of it, because you look over the Democratic Party, and you've got a candidate who's got the most unbelievably high negatives of anybody they've ever pushed forward. Mm-hmm. You've got somebody who basically they may campaign for and may tell you to vote for, but people do not like on her side of the aisle. If that one thing has been made abundantly clear out of a lot of these leaks and things that you're finding out, is there is no love lost for anybody in that party for her. And yet at the same time, she's cruising right along.
It's unbelievable. I still think that the election is going to close a little bit, and I still think it's going to be closer than people think. But yeah, I've said this 100 times. She's not Franklin Roosevelt, right?
No, she's a terrible candidate.
She's an awful candidate, and so in many different ways. And so Republicans have to be kicking themselves, because I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure Ted Cruz would have been a much different type of campaign. I don't know what that would look like. You never know what anything's going to look like, right? But if had a Kasich won, you'd probably be talking about a much different situation right now. I think I said a couple weeks ago, if it's somebody like Kasich had won, you'd probably be looking at the probability being just flipped, right? The election wouldn't be over, but it would be leaning Republican. And it really, I don't believe the House is going to be put in play. I still think it's out of reach for the Democrats. They need to pick up 30 seats. There's only about 20 seats that are really true toss-up seats right now in the country, which is pretty astonishing when you think there's 435 seats, and only about 20 of them are pure toss-ups. So I don't know if they're going to be able, but I do think the Democrats will definitely pick up seats and be closer to the majority. And I think there's certainly a pretty good, the odds are in the favor of the Democrats to pick up the Senate. So yeah, it just is not going. It's not a good year for the Republican Party. That is for sure.
No, and it's ripping itself asunder. You wonder how some of these, but we've seen it before, even in primaries, where people say the most horrific things about one another, but later on they manage to put it all behind them and they're friends again and they'll work together again. I don't know how some of these divisions are going to be healed.
Well, you have seen it in some ways, right? Ted Cruz did come out and endorse Donald Trump.
Yeah, which once again felt like just a surreal moment.
No, but I agree, Riley. I don't ever recall a time in history where you've seen this many people of a party, their own party, saying, I am not supporting my party's nominee, right? How many people are we up to now that say, I can no longer support? They haven't necessarily said they're supporting Clinton, but they're not supporting their own party's nominee. I think what's really interesting, if you look, the party was split well before all this. So we've had the last week or so with the allegations that have come out. That has probably not helped Trump at all, certainly. And you saw a lot of people jumping ship there. But if you go back and you look early on, it was conservative foreign policy. Republicans who were foreign policy experts that were essentially jumping ship way back in March, April, May,
right,
from Trump, right? So you already saw the divisions there. It's been a crazy week, just a crazy election. And I will say, we've had a situation in recent American politics where almost exactly the same charges were alleged against the candidate that was alleged against Donald Trump last week. And that candidate went on to win the election, and that was Arnold Schwarzenegger in California. When Schwarzenegger ran for governor, there were about 2 weeks before the election, there were all sorts of charges of the same type of thing, groping and all this type of thing. The difference was that Schwarzenegger went out and apologized for it. And he said, "Look, I essentially did this. It was wrong. It was on movie sets. It was a different time, and I was wrong." And he ended up winning, the governorship of California. Now, that's a different time. It's still a decade ago, and it doesn't seem like that long ago. But things have changed now regarding sexual harassment, and you look at all the sexual assault stuff that's going on in the country, the dialogue on that. So it's different. But Trump, every step of the way, has made the wrong move. I was reading today that he's going to go after Clinton's health again. If I'm Clinton, go after my health, right? I mean, go after my health all you want. This is not going to. It's gonna energize your base. The problem is his base is pretty small, right? His base should be the Republican Party. By going after Clinton's health, all right, by talking about rigged elections, you're mobilizing a very small part of your base, because, as we just said, many Republicans are turned off by that message and aren't embracing it at all and aren't going to support him.
And I'm not going to jump aboard with Trump as far as the whole election is rigged, although I will say that I find it extremely curious that, in 30-plus years of public life for Donald Trump, we've never heard any of these rumblings about the women and the sexual harassment, and we never heard any of that, and he's had deep pockets for all of this time. 3 weeks before the election, women we've never heard of come springing forward, and the media will trample people to get to them. Well, when the same sort of thing was happening with Bill Clinton and continued to happen with him, we got a collective yawn from the media.
Yeah,
and I'm tired of every single seemingly election cycle that rolls around. The Democrat playbook is to go with he's having affairs. We've gone with this with John McCain. We've gone with this with George H.W. Bush. We're going with Donald Trump on this one. We tried it with Reagan on this one. I mean, this same playbook gets pulled out every time and seemingly draws traction. When you have someone who really, gave up a law license, paid out a huge settlement, all of the things involving women, we don't really get into that all that much.
Yeah,
that bothers me, because I just would like to see an even playing field. Take the shots at both sides, but let's stack it up on one and ignore the other.
I think the thing that bothers me most about politics, Riley, is the hypocrisy on both sides of the aisle, frankly. Not just on these issues, on all sorts of issues. I've talked about, I think I've given you examples before of election laws, right? And, all of a sudden we want this election law until it doesn't benefit our party. Now we want that election law. So, that's part of the problem with politics. I think there is hypocrisy on both sides. I mean, I think the thing that makes me the most disgusted about the whole thing, though, is that I don't even know what the issues are in this election anymore, Riley. To be honest, I don't even know what we're talking about, right? I mean, I guess health care, I don't know. It came up for like 2 minutes in the debate. I literally don't even know what are the issues that are facing the country that we are talking about in this campaign.
And according to polling I'm looking at here, they're not touching them, because the thing that people are most concerned about are economics, and we're just not touching that.
Absolutely. And so, we've talked about Syrian debate, but we are not having a substantive debate over policy. And here's what you've had. This is literally what you've had in the last week. Let's think about this, right? Donald Trump has gone on, and has gone on this rampage about rigged elections, all right? I agree with the president. Stop whining. Get out there and try to win votes, right? I mean, this is absurd. So he's out there about rigged elections. He's not talking about substantive issues, and we haven't heard it all from Hillary Clinton, because she's been off the campaign trail, and I think she's been off the campaign trail strategically, because why be out there?
Well, when people don't like you anyway, keep you out of the public eye and let your opponent commit suicide.
Let him implode, absolutely. And she's been in, there was a really good article in the New York Times that kind of talks about what you were just getting at a second ago. She is not the candidate to be, really going after him on some of the sexual assault stuff.
No.
And so this is not a comfortable topic for her in many ways. And so, just keep her out of the spotlight and let him implode. But again, nobody is talking about substantive issues.
Nope.
Maybe their tax plan came up at some point, but it really is. Elections are always negative. We've talked about that before, and elections have always been. You go back and you look at the Adams-Jefferson.
Oh
election.
Lord, things were way out of hand.
Yeah, but I do think that we found a level of civility, in the middle 20th century maybe, and it was still dirty. And I mean, you look at Nixon, Kennedy, they're all dirty, but there was still substantive issues being talked about.
Right.
And as I told my class the other day, I said, we can have. It's okay to have serious disagreements and serious debate about whether we should raise taxes on the rich, right, or whether we should repeal Obamacare. I mean, these are legitimate issues to debate, and we can have serious discussions, and there's serious problems, they're complex problems, and we don't have to hate each other. If you want to repeal Obamacare and I don't, right, we can find ways to find common ground. We don't have to be permanent enemies. We're at a point right now, though, in American politics where both sides are just looking at the other side as the permanent enemy. And I really think that is a shame. The old saying in the House used to be, the other party is just the other party. It's the Senate that's the enemy, right?
Right.
The argument was, as House members, you all rally together, whether you're Democrats or Republicans. It was the Senate; they were the problem. That's not the case anymore. And I think the level of discourse that we've had in this election is disgusting. My 9-year-old, my 12-year-old wanted to watch the debate, whatever it was last week. I can't remember what it was now. And I just said, guys, no, why don't you go do something else right now? I mean, I'm encouraging my sons who are showing an interest in civic engagement, in politics,
and you're dissuading them.
Voting, and I'm encouraging them to go do something else. What is wrong with that situation, right? And I'll be honest with you, Riley, I am pissed off that is the situation that as an American citizen that I've been put in because of these two candidates.
Yep, and you know what? You're not alone. I have felt the same way on more than one occasion when a family member's gone, hey, let's talk about the election for a minute, and I've actually hurt my eyes rolling them.
Yep.
Because, oh, God, no, please, can't we talk about something else?
I wish I had a different profession right now. I just got back from the gym. 3 different people said, hey, what's going on in the election? I don't want it to. No one will be happier on November 9th than I will, I can guarantee. I don't. It's depressing. I mean, it really is. It's depressing.
That's a great way of.
Unless we've got a couple more weeks of it, and it's an important election. There's no doubt about it. I just wish we had a better election to talk about.
Well, I'm grateful that we have you to put some finer points on this and walk us through this process as you do so expertly.
I don't know, Riley. I just said the election pisses me off. I'm not sure that's actually
no.
a
See,
point.
that makes you my kind of guy because you're speaking my language fully on this one. Matt, as always, I am very grateful for your time. We'll look forward to talking to you next week.
Hey, Riley, have a great one. Go Huskies.
Thanks. There's Matt Streb, Poly Sci, professor and faculty athletic rep at Northern Illinois University.